Hello again everyone, and welcome back to this series on how to draw iconic faces. Now, as usual, before we start, if you could subscribe if you haven't already done that, that would be fabulous, thank you. And also, ring that little bell icon if you want to know what's coming up next. Okay, well, the iconic face today is probably the most famous Native American chief, that is Sitting Bull, the chief of the entire Lakota Sioux Nation. And I'm going to start with the top of his head, long hair, and parted in the middle. So we start at the top of his head like this, coming down, really narrow top like that, and the parting in the middle there, and the hair coming down on the other side of his forehead like this, okay, and the curve like that. He is usually photographed wearing eagle feather, but I can't have not much room to put in the whole feather here, so what I'm going to do is just show you the indication of the beginning of it, which comes up like that. Okay, onto the black part up there. Okay, moving down now to the hair, which curves in and over the cheekbones, very broad cheekbones of course, like that. The hair comes out, and across here we have the eyes. A shallow curve at the top, like that, and slightly more of a curve at the bottom, like that. Very strong feature Sitting Bull. The other eye coming in here. Again, the fairly shallow curve with the line, crease lines at the corner there, and a bit more curve at the bottom, coming in there like that, the pupil appearing there, and then the eyelids coming up quite sharply. You almost see a point there, one there like that, another one coming over there, and above that we have the high brows, and we have the creases in the forehead like that, coming down over the edge of the muscle of the eye here, and the other one coming across like that. Okay, move down to the nose now, and we have creases, a couple of creases across there, and the nose itself fairly long and kind of bulges out at the top, come down like that, swells out again for the bottom of the nose. You get that curve there, quite aquiline, sharp nostril shapes here coming on the other side like that. And back up here, just do a couple of lines of the eyes here. And these photographs that were taken of Sitting Bull, well, he was fairly old. When he was young, actually, his name was Jumping Badger. And but he became known as Sitting Bull because of his acts of bravery. And he was the first chief to be chosen as chief of the entire Sioux Nation. It's quite an honour. Quite a strong character, very strong character. So his mouth had the bow shape like that, turned down slightly like that, towards the edge, and you get the deep indentation there, and the bottom looks slightly to one side like that. Okay, and a line, and then his chin, quite a strong chin, come down like that. I'll be doing lots of shading on this later on, but I'd say this bulge here is his cheekbone, very broad across here. When you're drawing it, make sure you get that breadth and the curve of the cheekbone and the lines of his jaw coming in there, and going back up again like that. And then we have his hair, which kind of clings to the side of his face here, and is pulled in to be tied with thong, probably leather thongs coming down, and these plaits on either side, like that. You can imagine these kind of bunches of hair being tied like that, you see, all the way down. You see it was obviously very long, so this continued down. Like that, okay? And the shirt, the shoulders just coming on either side here, like that. Oops, there. And the collar of his shirt coming around his neck, like that. And we have fringes along here, and also on this side. And beads coming around like that. And we can put those in later when I'm doing the detail. Okay, and we also have fringes down here. Okay, so that's the basic shape. I'll just put another little bit of shading in here for his cheekbone coming down. Very strong, as I said, features, muscular features. And you get the muscles coming in underneath those bits, the corner of his mouth there, and the shape of his chin coming up, like that. Okay, I'm now going to do a bit of shading, get some three-dimensionality into the drawing. Before I do that, I'll just put a couple of lines up here. These are the wrinkles on the forehead, like that, and down here. Okay, let's move up to the top of the hair now. Put a few lines at the bottom of the feathers here, just to indicate the shape and a bit of the darkness coming up here. Okay, right, okay, now the hair is all pulled down and combed down this way, so the light will be catching these parts here. So what you can do is just draw a kind of shape like that for the area that the light's catching, like here, okay, and then shade following the lines of the hair. Put quite a bit of weight on your pencil, come around like that, but when you reach those shapes there, you know, just maybe a couple of lines in the centre, you get the feeling of the hair, but then go past and fill in the rest, like that. Okay, so I'll do that with that too. Catch up here when I've done it. Right, I was just finishing off our hair now, getting these shapes in. Still using the downward pencil strokes, like that. Okay, now I'm going to move up to his forehead now and put some shading in here. The light mainly falling from the front, so the centre of his forehead, centre of his nose and so on, that will catch the light. So on either side you'll get shading. So this part of the forehead up to here and under his hairline will be in shadow. You get that kind of shape there coming in. And a bit more shading on the creases of the forehead themselves. And then in here, very dark shading, deeply set eyes. You know, those eyes I've seen a lot. And a bit of heavier shading down this side of the lid, like that. Okay, so you get that bit of light in the centre, but darker come down on this side, down the side of the nose. Just stop a bit there, and then bring a bit of dark shading under his eye there, and this crease under that line. Okay, a bit of shading under his eye there, and also a bit more weight on the top of the eye, coming in like that to bring that out, and then shading the pupil itself, and just do that with no highlights. It gives the impression that it's deep set, you know, and in shadow, and you can put a bit of shading on his eyeball like that. Okay, so I'm going to work on this in exactly the same way, deep shading in here and round here. Okay, I'm going to walk down the nose now. There we get shading on either side coming in. There's the shape there. But this side is more extensive. It carries over here. So I'll do this side first. Now as you come down to the center of the nose, you get round the nostril, like that. And when you shade the bottom, leave a little gap there, so you get a bit of reflected light. And then do the nostril like that. And this one, quite sharp shape there. And there's quite a bit of shading underneath here. Also in the indentation, the middle of your lip. And the other side, more shading here, like that. Okay. Now these lines are quite sharp. As I said, the photographs that were taken of Sitting Bull were in his later life, so his face, of course, had become almost quite chiseled in the way that it looks, you know, almost sculpted, like that. And as I said, this side is more shaded than this side, so a bit more shading down this side of the nose, and it comes out underneath his eyes there, up to a point, then come down and goes round that cheekbone there. Okay, cheekbone is quite pronounced. I think actually I'll take a bit of the highlight off here, so that I'm moving his cheekbone down at an angle slightly, like that. A bit better. And we have, again, we have lines coming down this side of the face. And a bit of shading coming in here, leaving a bit of light down the side of the jaw. And I move over to this one, again, the cheekbone coming in, quite dark in here, going up, like that, then coming round, and joining this muscle here, then carrying on down and doing a muscle shape underneath the corner of the mouth there. More heavy shading, then a bit of shading around this side of the jaw. Okay, move up to the mouth now. We have a kind of quite a distinct bow shape here. Quite heavy lines in the middle, and curving down to a kind of a deep depression there in the skin, into muscle. And then as we come back up, put a bit more shading now. It's quite dark, okay, top lip. But at the bottom lip, we have a slight bend in it there as it comes up. And we get a bit of dark shading under that part of it. It takes in a bit of that shape there. And below that we have a line. And then the actual shape of his chin coming in as it curves up in the shadow there. Put that in nice and dark. Bring that up the side. And a bit more shading in here, underneath the bottom lip. As this part here is catching the light, there's a wee bit more of that. If it's catching the light here, and as it comes up, a bit more shading in here. Okay. And a bit more, I'm going to do some dark shading around here and also in here. All right, now I've finished off my shading at the bottom here, and I'm going to move up to the top. I've got a 7B, which is slightly darker than the 5, 6B I've been using. So I'm going to kind of use it to pick out and sharpen up some of these lines here, just to get a bit more shape to the drawing, okay, like that. And I'll continue down like that from the top, just sharpen up some of these lines here, and also in here. And what you can also do is use a bit of hatching like that to give your drawing a bit more of an artistic look to it. Okay. So I'm going to do that all the way down, and I'll catch you when I'm near the bottom. Okay. Okay, I've just been finishing off with some hatching lines here to give it a stronger feel, you know, almost as if it's been carved from stone. Get that chiseled look. Okay, well, that's Chief Sitting Bull in his own language, Tatanka Yotanka. And I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and hope you can join me again for another one coming up soon. But in the meantime, of course, all the best and happy drawing.